I've called this a activist basketball league, and we signed one of the lead activists. It's unbelievable. Somebody that has vocally talked shit about Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever fans. The outrage is real. Go look at Turner's Twitter X feed, and it is activist central. I hope the Indiana Fever know what they're doing, because they've got a whole lot of new fans, and a lot of those new fans support this president that is in office. Brianna Turner, he's doing exactly what I voted him in to do. He is overwhelmingly getting positive marks.
The Indiana Fever just made a massive mistake, and fans are furious. Brianna Turner, a player more focused on pushing political agendas than actually playing basketball, has been exposed for blocking Fever and Caitlin Clark fans simply because she can't handle criticism.
Brianna Turner signed with the Indiana Fever. You can only imagine how this player feels about the Indiana Fever fan base. She hates your ass. I'm going to call her out for not only blocking people like me because she can't stand the heat, get the hell out of the kitchen.
This is becoming a disturbing trend in the WNBA. Players talk trash, stir up controversy, and then when the backlash comes, they play the victim.
The Indiana Fever signed Brianna Turner, people like me that follow the Indiana Fever, and she's promptly blocking folks. Namely, she blocked me.
We've seen it before with Angel Reese, Alyssa Thomas, and A.J. Wilson, and now Brianna Turner is doing the exact same thing.
There is her official tweet. Will society look back on U.S. politics as a comedy or a tragedy? I don't know if I'm supposed to laugh or cry when I watch the antics of the U.S. government. This is radically disrespecting a massive portion of the Indiana Fever fan base.
But here's the problem. Caitlin Clark never wanted her on this team in the first place. Clark made it clear she had no interest in playing alongside Turner, yet the Fever signed her anyway. And now, the consequences are already showing.
So we couldn't have 17.5-point Kennedy Carter because of her history and attitude, but y'all give us jealous-ass 1.2 points per game Brianna Turner? The Fever front office just set this offseason. Pick your locker room pieces wisely.
And this is what Fever president had to say about protecting their locker room.
Those are elements that each player that we have handpicked to be a part of this roster have that. Protect our locker room. Protect the culture that we've got started. That was very intentional.
This move isn't just bad, it could destroy team chemistry, alienate fans, and create tension inside the locker room. The Fever had one job: build around Caitlin Clark, the player who revived this franchise. Instead, they brought in someone who stands against everything that made this team successful.
The Indiana Fever just signed a political activist that could bring in and torch your locker room.
So why did they do it? Is this a calculated move to undermine Caitlin Clark? Or just the worst decision in franchise history? Let's break it all down.
It's like the Indiana Fever do not have a grip on all these new fans that have come in. 15,000 sending money in their direction. 15,000 tickets sold in 36 minutes. 60 to 70% supporters of the president that Brianna Turner is talking shit about.
Brianna Turner's arrival in Indiana has already proven to be one of the most controversial and divisive signings in recent WNBA history. Before even stepping onto the court for the Fever, she has managed to alienate and anger the very fan base that has brought the franchise back to life.
Politics has always been a hotly contested subject. Topics like DEI, immigration, tariffs, and the economy are current hot topics being argued in the public square. Both are in person and online. One of the participants in that public square is Brianna Turner of the Indiana Fever. Turner weighed in on the current political climate in the United States in light of the second term of President Donald Trump, who defeated Democrat candidate Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election.
But let's be honest, this isn't surprising. From the moment her signing was announced, fans knew this was going to be a problem. And now Turner is making it clear that she's more interested in pushing political narratives than actually contributing to the team.
Some of y'all are taking the Brianna Turner signing too far. It's one thing to be annoyed, even pissed, but I'm seeing, quote, protect the locker room being used as a dog whistle for thinly veiled racism. If you're white and doing that shit, maybe think about how it looks before you tweet. Hey, it's unbelievable. It really is.
Instead of embracing the massive wave of new supporters the Fever have gained thanks to Caitlin Clark, she's actively shutting them out. blocking fans on social media simply because they dare to criticize her.
Like you can expect from cowards, I would like to thank the Academy. Turner is officially blocking fans following the fever. She's blocked me.
It's a pattern we've seen over and over again in the WNBA. Players want to talk trash, engage in divisive rhetoric, and then when people call them out, they act like victims.
Angel Reese talking about WNBA players should be paid like NBA players. As long as there are activist basketball players in this league like this that is going to continue to push fans away who just want the sport.
Brianna Turner is the latest in a growing list of WNBA players who seem to think they can say whatever they want without consequence. Just look at how this same cycle is played out with Angel Reese, Alyssa Thomas, and A'ja Wilson.
So we're supposed to believe this person miraculously loves Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever fans all of a sudden. There's no way you're going to really sell me on this. This is crazy. Do you want people to spend money on your product? Locker room implosion.
Each of them has had moments where they've gone after fans, stirred up controversy, and then cried foul when the backlash came. Angel Reese, for example, spent months taking shots at Caitlin Clark, making passive-aggressive comments and fueling narratives that divided the league.
Before Caitlin Clark showed up, the Indiana Fever drew 4,000 to 5,000 fans in attendance. That jumped to what, 16,000? That's a lot of new fans.
But the moment people started holding her accountable, she played the victim, acting like she was being unfairly targeted. The same goes for Alyssa Thomas, who accused Clark supporters of racism while ignoring the constant cheap shots Clark has endured on the court. A'ja Wilson, despite being one of the league's top stars, has engaged in similar behavior, making comments that only serve to further divide fans rather than unite them.
You players don't have that option to pick and choose who follows the league. Now, you can choose to push them away and in turn, never ever make better money. You're never going to make NBA money. Yeah, a lot of fans are tuning in for Caitlin Clark.
And now Brianna Turner is following the same playbook. Talk big, refuse to face criticism, and when people push back, act like they're the problem.
You can say a lot about Caitlin Clark's politics or whatever, but she's never blatantly come out, directly dogged out anybody on the right.
But here's the thing. Caitlin Clark has never done this. Despite all the hate she's received, despite being targeted with flagrant fouls, ridiculous media narratives, and unfair treatment, she has never lashed out at fans.
Does their front office understand exactly what their new fan base is? Look, they just inherited 4 times larger fan base than they ever had before.
She has never tried to silence criticism by blocking people or acting like she's above accountability. She simply plays basketball and lets her game do the talking. That's why fans respect her. That's why she has built such a loyal following. She understands that if you want to be a star, if you want the attention and the fame, you also have to deal with the negativity that comes with it. Brianna Turner clearly does not understand that. She wants the platform but not the responsibility. She wants to be in the spotlight but can't handle the fact that people have opinions about what she says and does.
This is the Indiana Fever equivalent of the CNN reporter standing out in front of the burning buildings talking about it's mostly a peaceful protest. Everything behind you is literally burning to the ground.
And the worst part? The Indiana Fever brought this on themselves. They knew exactly who Brianna Turner was before they signed her. They knew her history. They knew she was more focused on politics than basketball, and they knew she had already alienated the same fans that Caitlin Clark had brought to the league, and yet they still made this move. Why? Why bring in a player who is actively working against the very people who have revitalized this franchise?
They put out the official signing. We have signed Brianna Turner. Welcome to the squad. Is the Indiana Fever literally going to start blocking Caitlin Clark fans?
It makes absolutely no sense from a basketball perspective. Turner isn't an elite player. She isn't a game changer. She isn't someone who is going to push the Fever into championship contention. She's a role player. Nothing more, nothing less. So why take this risk? Why sign someone who is already creating unnecessary distractions before even playing a single game for the team?
Turner is a rim protector, high-level rebounder, all-around defensive scorer, 2-time All-WNBA first team. Are you kidding me? Hell, just add Cheryl Swoops to the locker room while you're at it.
It's a slap in the face to the fans who have invested their time, money, and energy into supporting this team. It's a slap in the face to Caitlin Clark, who has done everything right and now has to deal with yet another teammate who resents the attention she's getting. The reality is, this isn't just about Brianna Turner, this is about the culture of the WNBA as a whole. Instead of embracing the massive growth and new fans that Caitlin Clark has brought to the league, the WNBA continues to push back against it. They continue to sign and promote players who make it clear that they don't respect or appreciate the fan base that has shown up in record numbers.
Brianna Turner from the Indiana Fever firing shots towards the fan base. Friendly reminder that I am against all forms of discrimination, including racism, sexism, homophobia, misogyny, and transphobia. I often advocate against these discriminatory practices. Feel free to unfollow, mute, or block me if that is bothersome to you. I will not bend the knee or change my online advocacy efforts to appease others. While I anticipate receiving criticism, hostility, and invalidation, I will not tolerate discrimination. I wonder, does that go for you too if you criticize white folks? If I'm not for you, there are about 150 other W players that you can support instead. I have interest in a life outside of my playing career. I do not expect or crave validation from social media. I have low expectations for Twitter, and I'm cognizant that many will reject my takes. You got that right. I literally have an MA in social justice and human rights, so of course I speak up.
They continue to create an environment where players feel comfortable alienating supporters and stirring up drama instead of focusing on the game. It's no wonder the league has struggled for so long. Instead of fostering a culture of growth and unity, they are allowing division to thrive. And now the Indiana Fever, one of the few teams that actually benefited from Caitlin Clark's presence, are making the same mistake. They had a golden opportunity to build something special, to create a team that could dominate on the court and capture the hearts of fans across the country. But instead, they made a move that risks throwing it all away. And let's not forget, this isn't just about fan perception. This could have real consequences for the team's chemistry and performance on the court. Locker room dynamics are fragile. When you introduce a player who is already at odds with the fan base, who is already creating tension before even playing a game, you risk derailing the momentum that has been built.
This player, ironically, is from Texas, and she takes a blatant shot at Texas. My fellow Texans that voted to keep Ted Cruz in office, you will never be forgiven for such heinous crimes against humanity. We love Ted Cruz here. Ted Cruz is overwhelmingly beloved.
Caitlin Clark doesn't need unnecessary distractions. She doesn't need a teammate who is more focused on Twitter than winning basketball games. She needs a team that is fully committed to the goal of winning and building a winning culture. The Fever front office should have been focused on adding players who complement Clark's style of play, who bring value to the court, and who are dedicated to the mission of making Indiana a contender. Instead, they brought in someone who is doing the exact opposite.
Brianna Turner right here, two-time all-defensive, but 1.2 points per game? People are saying, well, she'll play 5 minutes. Then why have her on this team?
Fans are already speaking out. The backlash against Turner's signing is only getting louder. And if the Fever don't get this under control soon, they could find themselves in a situation where they lose the very support that has made them relevant again. The WNBA has been desperate for mainstream attention for years, and now that they finally have it, they seem determined to push it away. And if they keep making decisions like this, they're going to find themselves right back where they started, struggling for relevance and wondering why fans just don't seem to care.
Not afraid to admit when I'm wrong, I was extremely naive in this election. I thought the American people had standards for who leads us. I assumed that being a felon, having numerous sexual misconduct allegations, and a racist was too much to overlook. Truly bamboozled. Y'all got me for real. She just trashed President Trump.
The Indiana Fever's decision to sign Brianna Turner is not just a questionable roster move, it's a complete disaster that threatens to derail everything the franchise has built over the past year. Let's be honest, Caitlin Clark is the only reason this team is relevant right now. Before she arrived, the Fever were nothing more than an afterthought in the WNBA, struggling to sell tickets, draw media attention, or even put together a competitive season.
This is crazy as hell. They let the wolf into the hen house. There goes the locker room. What are we doing?
But the moment Clark was drafted, everything changed. Suddenly, the Fever were playing in sold-out arenas. Their games were setting record-breaking TV ratings. They became the most talked-about team in women's basketball overnight. And instead of capitalizing on that momentum and building a team that complements Clark's leadership and style of play, the front office made a decision that completely disrespects her. Brianna Turner is not just an odd fit basketball-wise, she is actively working against the very fans who have saved this franchise. She's going out of her way to block Fever supporters, silence those who criticize her, and inject politics into a situation that should be about basketball.
Hell no, cut this crazy lady before the season starts. She's worse than Bronny James. Ken Swift, there's no way she's a fit on this team culturally.
And let's be clear, Caitlin Clark doesn't want this kind of distraction. She's never been about drama. She doesn't engage in petty fights, she doesn't create unnecessary tension, and she certainly doesn't use social media to push divisive agendas. That's why fans respect her. She understands that her job is to perform on the court and inspire people through her game. And yet, she now has a teammate who is doing the exact opposite, stirring up controversy, alienating fans, and bringing a toxic energy into the locker room.
She had to be negative about this? Respectfully, I'm confused. Is this what runners-up typically does now? Haven't seen this before, but kudos to them.
This is a problem, not just for the Fever, but for the entire WNBA. The league needs Caitlin Clark. The numbers prove it. Since Clark entered the WNBA, attendance has skyrocketed, merchandise sales have exploded, and games featuring the Fever have been breaking viewership records that were previously unheard of. And yet, instead of embracing the fact that Clark has transformed women's basketball, the Fever and the WNBA keep making decisions that undermine her success. It's as if they don't realize or don't care that she is the single biggest reason the league is finally being taken seriously. Signing a player like Brianna Turner sends a message, and it's not a good one. It tells fans that their support isn't valued. It tells Caitlin Clark that the front office isn't prioritizing her success. And it tells the rest of the team that distractions and drama are acceptable even when they come at the expense of team chemistry.
Right, and that's what a lot of these women are doing, is they feel like what we have done for this game, this young player has come into our game, and she's getting way more respect and all that stuff than we are. As she should. The young girl is a baller. The young girl has people watching because of the way she can shoot this basketball like Steph Curry. Steph Curry can't dunk. Steph Curry don't do none of that in the game. He can probably dunk by himself, but he don't really do none of that in the game. He is a shooter, and fans tune in to see Steph Curry. When I look at Caitlin Clark, fans are tuning in to watch her, and you know who that's helping? Everybody else. It's helping the Asia Wilsons. It's helping everybody else, the Plums, all that. It's helping all of them, the Tarasis.
Let's talk about the locker room impact. Chemistry is everything in sports. Teams that win championships don't just have talent, they have unity. They trust each other, they respect each other, and they share the same vision. Caitlin Clark has been building that culture in Indiana. She's come in with a winning mentality, a strong work ethic, and a level of professionalism that most rookies don't have. And now she's being forced to coexist with a player who has already made it clear that she's not on the same page. How is this supposed to work? How are the Fever supposed to grow as a team when one of their own players is actively shutting out the fan base and creating unnecessary tension?
Caitlin Clark's popularity is tied to her whiteness. What Nike and Caitlin Clark are known for as of right now is the fact that they have set on Caitlin Clark as what is their most valuable asset.
Clark isn't the type to complain publicly, but make no mistake, this is a problem. You can already see it in the way she's handled the situation. No warm welcome, no excitement, no acknowledgement of Turner's signing. That's not an accident. That's Clark making a statement without saying a word. And it's not just Clark. Other players in that locker room are likely feeling the same way. Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Nalisa Smith, these are players who want to win. They want to focus on basketball, not drama. And now they're being dragged into a situation that they didn't ask for. The Fever should have been adding players who make the team stronger. who elevate the group and help push them toward success. Instead, they brought in someone who is already causing division before even playing a single game. How long before this tension starts showing on the court? How long before players start getting frustrated with the distractions? Because let's be real, no one wants to deal with this nonsense when they're trying to compete at the highest level. This situation also raises an even bigger question. Why did the Fever sign Turner in the first place? From a basketball standpoint, it makes no sense.
Who's going to be the next face of the NBA? We don't get to decide that. The marketplace decides that. The people have chosen Caitlin Clark. They enjoy watching her play, her style, her energy, her shot. Whether it's because her game mirrors one of the greatest players in the NBA in Steph Curry or not, I don't know what it is. It's an intangible thing, right? Yes, we can say she's a dog. Okay, there's been other dogs. Okay, she's a great shooter. There's been other great shooters. She has it. She's got the thing.
Turner is not an elite player. She's not a star. She's not someone who's going to dramatically improve the Fever's performance on the court. She's a role player at best. So why take this risk? Why sign someone who is already clashing with the fan base before even stepping onto the floor? If this were about winning, the Fever would have signed a player who actually fits their needs. They would have focused on bringing in more shooters to support Clark. They would have added someone who can complement Aaliyah Boston in the paint. Instead, they made a political signing, not a basketball one. They brought in a player who seems more interested in activism than athletics, and now they're dealing with the fallout.
What is she doing wrong? What more do you want from Caitlin Clark? Seriously, what more do you want from her? She's focusing on the game. She lifted her team up, got them to the playoffs, won Rookie of the Year, and then also is denouncing racial tensions when she's asked about it. I'm sorry, I don't see anything more that Caitlin Clark should have done or could have done. Listen, if people want to portray and paint the narrative that there are racial tensions in the WNBA as a result of Caitlin Clark, I would say that's their own problem. I think Caitlin Clark is doing the right thing, rising above all of the crap that she's had to endure. The amount of fouls committed on Caitlin Clark higher than any other player, flagrant fouls committed on Caitlin Clark higher than any other player. Caitlin Clark was worried about playing the game, and that is why she got Rookie of the Year. She was not worried about the BS.
And let's talk about the fans. The Fever wouldn't even be in this position without them. Before Caitlin Clark arrived, they were playing in half-empty arenas. They were barely relevant. Now they're selling out games, dominating headlines, and becoming one of the hottest teams in women's basketball. And yet, instead of appreciating the people who made this possible, the Fever allowed Turner, a brand new signing, to block and shut out the very fans who are keeping this franchise alive. What kind of message does that send? If you're a Fever fan who has spent money on tickets, merchandise, and game broadcasts, how do you feel knowing that a player on your own team doesn't respect you? This isn't just bad PR, it's a complete disaster. Fans are already talking about boycotting the Fever over this move. Some are saying they won't buy another ticket until Turner is gone. And let's be real, the Fever can't afford to lose these people. If the fans who came in for Clark start walking away, the team will sink right back into irrelevance. This is why the Fever's decision is so baffling. They had a golden opportunity to build a strong, unified team around Caitlin Clark. They had a chance to fully embrace the wave of success and attention that she has brought to Indiana. Instead, they invited controversy into their own locker room.
Most points by a point guard in a season in WNBA history. Most double-doubles by a rookie guard in WNBA history. Most points by a rookie in WNBA history. Most assists by a rookie in the history of the WNBA. First WNBA rookie to record 2 triple-doubles. First triple-double by a rookie in WNBA history. First triple-double in Fever history. The first player to be named WNBA Player of the Month and Rookie of the Month in the same month. First player in WNBA history with 20 or more points, 15 or more assists, and 5 or more rebounds in a game. She won Rookie of the Month 4 times. Eastern Conference Player of the Week 3 times, single season rookie record for assists, single season rookie record for 3-pointers, single game record for assists, 19, franchise record for most double-doubles, 3-pointers, career 10 or more assists in a game, franchise record for most career 10 or more assists in a game. Fastest WNBA player to reach 100 3-pointers, she did it in 34 games, most assists by a rookie in a WNBA All-Star game for which she received the most fan votes ever, 700,000 of those. Fastest player to reach 350 points and 150 assists to start a season regardless of years in the league. People will say, pay more attention to the other folks. Like, she couldn't do it herself. You know, LeBron has teammates, Jordan had teammates. I understand.
They chose a player who was always going to create division, who was never going to fit in with this new fan base, and who now threatens to undo the progress this franchise has made. And this is just the beginning. The longer Turner remains on the roster, the worse this is going to get. The backlash isn't going away. The criticism isn't going to die down. Fans will not simply forget about this and move on. And the Fever's front office has put themselves in an impossible position. If they keep Turner, they risk alienating their fans and creating locker room turmoil.
I remember when the WNBA started. I was thrilled. I was a fan. I couldn't believe it was an opportunity for me, a 5'2", 97-pound girl, to go play professional basketball. That wasn't going to happen for me, but the idea that it existed was special to me. And now she's offering that to not just little girls, but little boys as well. She's spread the fan base. So
if they cut her, they have to admit that they made a massive mistake. Either way, this situation is a disaster. Caitlin Clark deserves better. The Indiana Fever fans deserve better. And if the team doesn't course correct soon, they may find themselves losing everything they've built over the past year. The bigger issue at play here isn't just Brianna Turner's behavior or the Indiana Fever's poor decision-making. It's the WNBA's repeated self-sabotage when it comes to its own success. The league finally has what it has wanted for years: mainstream attention, record-breaking viewership, and an influx of new fans. And yet, instead of capitalizing on this golden opportunity, it keeps making decisions that drive those very fans away. The signing of Brianna Turner is just the latest example of how the WNBA continues to push narratives and players that create division rather than build unity around the sport. Instead of celebrating and supporting the single biggest star the league has seen in decades, they continue to make moves that undermine Caitlin Clark's influence, dismiss her impact, and alienate the audience that she brought in.
I think that experiencing it, I love Caitlin Clark fans, but Caitlin Clark fans is different. They C-Square, shout out to the gang, different. They are very passionate people, and they gonna ride or die.
Listen, Caitlin Clark is a god to her friends. She does no wrong. Do not play. Do not play with her fans.
Let's just say C-Square, I'm happy I'm on the right end of it.
We on the right end of the stick, man, because
I hate to be.
Listen,
because
they love us right now. But if we go right left, it's over for us.
Yeah. Caitlin Clark fans, I love you back, I promise. Please stop.
Yeah.
Her fan. But the one thing I would say about Caitlin Clark fans that I can't appreciate, they'll go anywhere she go.
Oh, they gonna travel. She gonna travel. And right there. Right there
I just
with
think
her.
It's super dope though, because it's they would literally go anywhere she go, and so she's built that kind of platform. I'm like, damn, that's lit.
Let's be honest. Before Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, the league was struggling. Attendance was low, ratings were stagnant, and even the biggest stars in the league weren't drawing much national attention. The WNBA had tried for years to build a strong following, but the reality was that most casual sports fans simply weren't interested. Then Caitlin Clark arrived, and overnight everything changed. Fever games started selling out. TV ratings shattered records. Merchandise sales skyrocketed. Suddenly, the WNBA was front and center in the sports world, all because of one player. Clark's arrival wasn't just a boost for the Fever, it was a lifeline for the entire league. And yet, instead of embracing this and doing everything possible to build a league that fans want to support, the WNBA continues to act as if Caitlin Clark's presence is an inconvenience rather than a blessing. This pattern of undermining Clark's success has been going on since before she even played her first WNBA game. From the moment she declared for the draft, we saw it happening. Players taking shots at her, media figures trying to downplay her achievements, and an overall hostility from many in the league who didn't want her to be the face of women's basketball. But why? Why would a league that has struggled for years to gain mainstream attention be so resistant to the one player who actually delivered it? The answer is simple: jealousy.
Caitlin Clark actually reportedly inquired as to whether or not opposing teams could be paid more money due to her having the ability to sell out road games, right? Because of her star power. She is not in the game merely to boost her own persona. And the Indiana Fever president, Allison Barber, revealed this request made by Clark during the season. Listen.
After a few away games and all of the sellouts, Caitlin asked the WNBA if they would pay spot bonuses to the away team players. She said,
Wow.
we're making all this new revenue, and I would like the away team to benefit from that. Could they get a spot bonus? So that's the heart of Caitlin Clark. I mean, that's a classy, amazing person.
Many WNBA players, especially those who have been in the league for years without gaining significant recognition, are bitter that Caitlin Clark has become the biggest name in the sport overnight. They see the sold-out arenas, the massive endorsements, and the fact that she is the one driving the league's success, and instead of celebrating it, they resent it. And now, instead of supporting Clark and making sure she has the best possible environment to thrive, the Fever's front office has brought in yet another player who openly opposes everything she represents. Brianna Turner is not just another WNBA player. She is an activist who has consistently taken political stances that divide fans rather than unite them. This is a huge problem because Caitlin Clark's arrival brought in a whole new audience, fans who were never previously invested in the WNBA but are now watching, attending games, and spending money on the sport.
Regular season viewership, it grew by 20% in 2023. It's grown by 180% now, which means it would take another 5 or 6 years to do what Caitlin Clark has done. So between draft day viewership, which is up 400% to 40%, between ticket sales, which is up 93% to 16%, between regular game viewership, which is up 180% to 20%, what Caitlin Clark has done is grown the WNBA exponentially. She did in 5 weeks what would have taken 5 years. And as it pertains to draft viewership, she did in 5 days what would have taken 5 years.
These fans don't want to see politics injected into every aspect of the game. They don't want to support a team where players are more concerned with their Twitter feeds than their performance on the court. They just want to watch basketball. And yet the WNBA keeps pushing away these new supporters by embracing players like Brianna Turner, players who have no problem shutting out fans simply because they have different opinions. This is exactly why the WNBA will never reach the popularity of the NBA or other major leagues, because instead of fostering inclusivity and a welcoming atmosphere for all fans, they continue to promote a culture of division. They continue to alienate the very people who are finally paying attention. This isn't speculation, it's happening in real time. Just look at how WNBA veterans have treated Caitlin Clark since she entered the league. Instead of embracing her as a rising star, they've targeted her, thrown cheap shots at her on the court, and refused to give her credit for the massive growth she has brought to the league. Now, with the Fever signing Brianna Turner, they are taking this one step further. Not only are they ignoring Clark's importance to the franchise, but they are actively making moves that go against her success.
Jealousy and envy and delusion all mixed together. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're delusional. People are watching these games because of Caitlin Clark. Oh boy, if I say what I really think, these black women and these feminist white women are not going to sleep with me. And I may lose my job. They're going to come after my job. We're not in position to say, shut up.
36 million she drove to Indianapolis just by showing up as a rookie and making history. And so I understand her point of view. She wants to probably let other athletes shine. And she also says, like, it's earned, not given. There are other people that can use that spotlight to compete as well. So I think Caitlin, she moves because she knows people follow her no matter where she goes. And she's very strategic about dictating where her value is.
Think about what this means in the long run. If Caitlin Clark continues to be disrespected, undervalued, and undermined by the WNBA and her own team, what happens next? She doesn't have to stay in this league. She has options. If the WNBA doesn't appreciate her, the NBA will. We've already seen discussions about whether Clark could transition to playing in the NBA, and while that might seem far-fetched to some, the reality is that if she ever wanted to walk away from the WNBA, she could. And what would happen then? The league would collapse. The record ratings would disappear. The new fans would stop watching. The WNBA would go right back to where it was before she arrived. Irrelevant. The Fever and the WNBA need to wake up before it's too late. They need to realize that Caitlin Clark is their future. They need to stop making moves that alienate fans, create unnecessary drama, and bring in players who do more harm than good. The Brianna Turner situation is a perfect example of what not to do. She adds nothing to the team, brings a negative presence into the locker room, and is already causing division among the fan base.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. She's so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know what? Us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark.
This was a bad move, plain and simple. And if the Fever don't course correct quickly, they could end up losing everything they've built. But this isn't just about the Fever. This is about the entire WNBA. The league has one chance to get this right. They finally have the attention, the fans, and the momentum they've been chasing for years. But if they keep making decisions that drive people away, they will end up right back where they started. The question is, will they learn from their mistakes, or will they let jealousy, politics, and pettiness ruin the best thing that's ever happened to them? One thing is clear. Caitlin Clark's fans aren't going anywhere. They see what's happening. They see the disrespect. They see the WNBA's hypocrisy. And if the league and the Fever don't start making decisions that put basketball first and politics last, they are going to learn a very harsh lesson. Fans have options, and they will take their support elsewhere if they are continuously pushed away. The time to fix this is now. But if they wait too long, it might be too late. The Indiana Fever just made a disastrous miscalculation, and now they are scrambling as the backlash continues to explode. The message from Caitlin Clark's fans is loud and clear. They reject Brianna Turner and everything she brings to this team. The Fever had a golden opportunity to build around their superstar, create a winning culture, and strengthen their relationship with the fans who made them the most talked about team in the WNBA. But instead, they made a reckless decision that could destroy everything.
Fair enough, like if Steph Curry showed up somewhere, there would be more posts about Caitlin Clark showing up there. There are levels to fame, and the level of fame Caitlin Clark is at might be up there with the highest levels there are.
And let's be real, this won't just go away. Fans are furious. The calls for a boycott are getting louder. People who were once excited to support the Fever are now saying they won't buy tickets, won't watch games, and won't spend another dime on this franchise. This is the type of damage that doesn't get undone easily. And the worst part? The Fever did this to themselves. They willingly brought in a player who was always going to divide the fan base, someone who has already alienated supporters and created unnecessary tension. This was avoidable, but the front office made their choice. And now they have to deal with the consequences. So now the Fever are at a crossroads. They can either double down, ignore the backlash, and watch their own fan base turn against them, or they can correct their mistake, remove Turner from the roster, and send a message that they are serious about protecting their team, their chemistry, and their star player. The choice should be obvious. But will the Fever actually have the courage to admit they screwed up?
They said Caitlin Clark has declined the NBA's offer to participate in the three-point contest during All-Star Weekend. They said sources said Clark is not interested in shooting three-pointers off a ball rack, considering her practice regimen consists of only catch and shoot three-pointers and shots off the dribble. And unless she is persuaded otherwise, she will decline the invitation. We never see Caitlin shooting off of a rack. She's great off the dribble, going into her left hand, shooting long threes. Like, she obviously has the ability. We've seen her make 50 out of 54 shots. It's very different shooting off of a rack, and that is something that does take a bit of practice. And from what we have seen in her workouts and all these different types of things, if she's going to do this contest, she wants to win it. She seems psychotic. She seems to have that Kobe mentality.
And let's not forget, the person who matters most in all of this is Caitlin Clark. She hasn't said a word about this signing, and that says everything. If Clark felt good about this move, if she believed Turner was a valuable addition, she would have acknowledged it. But she hasn't. Instead, she's remained completely silent. That is not a coincidence. That is intentional. She knows this was a bad move. She knows this is a distraction. And if the Fever continue down this path, they are playing with fire. Because if Clark ever decides that this franchise doesn't respect her, that they are not building a winning team around her, then she has options. And if she ever decides she wants out, the Fever are finished. This isn't just about Brianna Turner anymore. This is about the future of the Indiana Fever and the WNBA as a whole. The league cannot afford to keep alienating its new fan base. It cannot afford to keep making moves that create division and resentment. Caitlin Clark is the best thing that has ever happened to the WNBA, and if they don't wake up soon, they are going to lose her. And when that happens, the entire league is going to pay the price. So what happens next? Will the Fever admit their mistake and cut their losses? Or will they ignore the warning signs and risk alienating the fans who built them up? One thing is for sure, Caitlin Clark's fans won't forget this. And if the Fever don't fix this fast, they might end up losing everything. What do you think? Did the Fever just make the biggest mistake in franchise history? Will Caitlin Clark take a stand against Brianna Turner? And will the fans' rejection force the team to backtrack? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll keep bringing you the latest on this explosive situation. See you next time.